Imagine being trapped. No help, no escape. Three people lived through the worst nights of their lives and barely made it out. Here are their stories. I took a short trip back to my hometown for New Year's to see my brothers and friends. Honestly, I hate that town. It's small, nothing there, and totally run down. I left as soon as I could and never wanted to come back. But my brothers and friends live there, so I visit sometimes. This year, both my brothers had girlfriends living with them, so I didn't want to be in the way. The only place to stay was a small motel right off the highway. It didn't even have a real name. Everyone just called it the motel. I got there late at night. The parking lot was empty except for one old truck. Inside, it was dark with just one lamp on. An older guy, maybe in his 60s with a messy beard, was sitting in a chair. When he saw me, he stood up real fast, like I scared him. He didn't say much, just, "Need a room?" His voice was rough and low. He gave me a key and walked me down the hallway to my room. The place was old and kind of dirty feeling. My room was tiny, just a bed in the middle and a TV in front of it. I didn't care though, because I was only sleeping there. I showered and went to bed right away. But around 3 a.m., I woke up to knocking sounds. It wasn't at my door though. It was coming from somewhere down the hallway. Soft, slow knocks. Then silence. Then more knocks. It sounded like an old door opening and closing over and over. I didn't care enough to check. This wasn't a nice place anyway. The next morning, the lobby was empty. No one was there, not at the desk or anywhere. I just left to hang out with my brothers all day. When I came back around 9 p.m., only that one truck was in the parking lot again. The lobby lights were off and the place felt cold. Still no sign of anyone working there. I went to my room and was changing clothes when I heard those knocking sounds again. This time they sounded like they were right outside my door. I opened my door a little bit and looked down the hallway. The door next to mine was slightly open now. Then I heard the old man's voice from down the hall calling me to come to the lobby. He didn't explain why, he just said it and walked away. I went downstairs, but the lobby was dark and empty. He wasn't there. I waited a few seconds but didn't see or hear him anywhere. I got a really bad feeling standing there alone. Something didn't feel right. I went back to my room and stayed up late listening, but I never heard him again. It was like he just left. The next day, I told my friends about the weird hotel. They all looked confused. They said they heard that hotel closed down like a year or two ago, but they weren't sure and said if I was staying there, they must be wrong. That night, I drove back to the motel thinking about what they said. I was more careful this time. The parking lot was still empty except for that one truck. When I walked in, the lights were mostly off. I went to my room and when I got to the door, I stopped. It was cracked open. Someone had been in there. I was terrified, but I ran in real quick and grabbed my suitcase. I didn't care about anything else. My toothbrush, clothes, nothing. I just needed to get out of there. Something in my gut told me I was in danger. I ran down the hallway toward the lobby. Then I looked back. My whole body went numb. The old man was standing in my room doorway, staring right at me. I ran to my car and drove straight to my brother's house. My brother told me to call the police. When the cops got involved, they found out the truth. The motel had been closed down for years. It wasn't abandoned, but it was shut down. The owners left the power on, but no one worked there. Nobody lived there. When the police searched the place, there was no sign of the old man anywhere. And that old truck that had been there every day, it was gone. The police didn't really believe me. They thought I was making it up or that I was crazy. I could tell by how they talked to me. I stayed at my brother's house and left town as soon as I could. That whole experience was the scariest, weirdest thing that ever happened to me. Even now, thinking about it makes me sick. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't left that night. I probably wouldn't be here right now. I went to my family's cabin for Christmas. It's a small wooden house in the mountains, just a few hours away from the city. My parents had owned it for years, and we used it for vacations. It's peaceful up there with a nice view of the forest. It was going to be a small trip, just me, my parents, and my sister. Since I was driving alone, I planned to stay 5 days. 4 days with my family, and 1 day completely alone. That's what I really wanted. 1 day of peace and quiet by myself. I got there 3 days before Christmas, late in the afternoon. The sun was already going down when I arrived. I unpacked, took a shower, and went to bed. The next day was my one day alone at the cabin. I woke up early, made some coffee, and decided to take a walk on the path through the woods. We'd walked this path many times over the years. It was about 2 miles through the trees and back to the cabin. It was cold that morning and there was a little bit of snow on the ground from the night before. The woods were really quiet. All I could hear was the wind moving through the trees. But after about half a mile, I saw something strange in the snow on the trail. There were shoe prints. Not animal prints, clearly shoe prints. They looked fresh too, like they were made recently. I looked around. No one should be out here. This was our property, and it was in the middle of nowhere. The prints seemed to follow the trail for a while, so I kept going. But I started getting uncomfortable. I didn't want to run into anyone out here alone. So I turned around and walked back to the cabin. When I got to the front door, I almost dropped my coffee. There were shoe prints leading right up to the door. They came from the other direction and just ended at the doorway. They definitely weren't there when I left earlier. I felt like someone was watching me. I looked around at the snowy forest but didn't see anyone. My heart was racing. This couldn't be a coincidence. The one day I'm here alone and someone comes right up to my cabin and I never locked the door when I went for my walk. I called my parents right away. My mom was really nervous and told me to go to a hotel and wait for them, but I decided to stay. I locked all the doors and told myself I would be careful. I thought whoever it was probably just saw the trail and checked if the cabin was empty and then left, but it was still creepy. I sat by the fireplace all day and tried to relax, but I couldn't. I was too paranoid. I kept thinking about those footprints. Even though I was tired, I didn't want to sleep. Closing my eyes didn't feel safe. As it got dark outside, I was sitting there drinking coffee when I realized something. I never checked to see where the footprints went after they reached the door. Did they turn around and go back, or did they go off into the woods? I got up and opened the front door slowly. It was pitch black and silent outside. The woods looked creepy and dark. I looked down at the shoe prints in the snow. I followed them with my eyes, looking for prints leading away from the cabin. But there weren't any. The prints came right up to the door and then just stopped. They disappeared at the doorway. That's when it hit me. The door was unlocked and the footprints didn't leave. Someone didn't leave. Someone was inside the cabin with me. They had been inside all day. Right then, I heard a creaking sound down the hall. I slowly turned around and looked into the cabin. In the orange glow from the fireplace, I could see someone in the hallway. A man was slowly walking toward me from the bedroom area. As soon as he saw me, he froze for a second, then he ran at me down the hall. I grabbed my car keys off the wall and ran to my car. I got in and drove as fast as I could. When I finally looked in the mirror, the cabin was just a black void behind me. I couldn't see it anymore. I drove to the nearest town and told the police everything. They went to check the cabin, but the man wasn't there. But they found something in my bedroom. In the small closet, there were scuff marks on the floor like someone had been hiding in there. He had been waiting in that closet the whole time I was there, waiting for me to fall asleep. The police never found out who he was or what he wanted to do to me. I don't know if it was someone I knew or if it was just random. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't left that night. I probably wouldn't be here right now.